Good morning from Big Sky Country. I'm Stacy, owner of Montana Used Bricks, and today I'm going to be doing a food for thought video. I haven't done one of these in quite a while. I looked at several different forums, but I finally decided to pick a couple of things on Reddit that caught my attention. A couple of them actually made me roll my eyes because I could not believe what I was reading, but I will let you guys comment on these as well. I'm going to dive right into it today. The first one is, why can sellers mark an order as completed? I mean, it's the buyers who should be able to change the status when he receives the complete order. Otherwise, it can cause confusion between an order marked completed but not received by the buyer. And I have to admit, I did not realize that as a seller, I could mark an order as completed. I thought that could only be done by the buyer, but apparently if it's still in ship status, if the buyer doesn't do anything, then yeah, you can go in and mark it as completed. I have never ever done this. I didn't even realize this was an option, and I was a little confused by this until I started reading some of the comments from sellers who were saying that yes, they occasionally will go and do this if they know for certain that the order has arrived and that the order has been in the buyer's possession for more than 2 weeks. They'll mark it as completed, basically to clean up, which I don't do. I just, after a couple of weeks, if I don't hear anything, I just file that order. I don't bother with putting it as completed. But there was a response that I thought helped clear it up for me anyway. Some do it because I guess they think that by doing so, the buyer isn't entitled to make a claim or something after a certain amount of time has passed. For example, I've read seller terms that say they do it automatically after 2 weeks have passed from the time of delivery, etc. If you'd like to prevent this, change the status on your end to received when you get it, then only you can mark it completed. So there you go. This was something I did not realize was even a thing, that people were doing it. So I would be curious if there's any stores out there that do this, that after 2 weeks, if it's still marked as shipped, they haven't marked it as received, if you go and mark it as completed. And if you do, kind of explain in the comments why you do that, because like I said, it's not something I've ever even tried to do. I just assumed that I couldn't make those changes, that only the buyer could. So you learn something new every day. That's why I occasionally read through the forums, because I learn all kinds of stuff. I also learn a lot of stuff from my comments too. You guys are awesome. So the next one is, I placed and paid for an order on September 29th. On October 4th, the seller marked it as shipped, hasn't supplied a tracking number, and I've just now messaged them for the 4th time. I have informed delivery with the USPS so I can see that there is no package coming from the seller's location to me. I know what Bricklink says about wait time for filing an NSS, and it's been 13 days. What is a reasonable amount of time to wait before filing an NSS? I understand storms and people have full-time jobs and all that, which is why I'm reluctant to file and looking for other suggestions. Thanks. The reason I put this one in here is because I just think it's unreasonable to have somebody wait 13 days for a tracking number. And I did check the comments, and the person, they were very polite. They even showed their messages back and forth. They were being very polite. They were, hey, I hope everything's okay. They were not in the hurricane path, so there really is no reason why this should have taken as long as it did. He said that, oddly enough, after he posted this, shortly after, he finally got a tracking number. But I think that if you have something going on in your life and it's taking you more than, let's say, 5 business days to get a package out, then I think you need to let the buyer know that there's a delay, and or you need to put something on your store as a disclaimer, or maybe even close your store. Because I think 13 days and no communication is awful, but maybe that's just me. I am one that if I'm going to, okay, I had a little bit of an interruption. I have at our house, my shop sits behind our house, and we have a security camera that alerts me when anybody comes up our sidewalk, and that thing has been going off a lot lately thanks to the elections going on. And I gotta say, I will be so happy when the elections are over. Tired of these people coming into our yard. And they don't pay attention to signs, because we've had signs up before and they just ignore them and come up anyway. So now I got to get back on track with where I was. As I was going to say, for me, if there's going to be any kind of delay with the order going out, I am going to let the buyer know. If I know that I'm not going to be able to get the package out in a reasonable amount of time, which has come up quite a bit lately because I've been gone quite a bit, my husband and I have both been gone quite a bit, so I always put a disclaimer at the top saying there's going to be a delay in shipping and when they can expect that package to go out. If for some reason it's going to be late, I will contact them directly and say, look, this is why it's going to take us a little bit longer to do your order, and this is the estimated date. And I usually get the package out much sooner than that estimated date, so they're very happy. But that communication with the buyer is really important. So for me, I would not wait 13 days to get a package out, or if for some reason it would be delayed that long, I would definitely let the buyer know. I wouldn't ignore all their messages and then just suddenly throw out a tracking number. So I would be curious about how you would handle this situation, both as a buyer and as a seller. What would you do? Because I probably would have put in the NSS. And I think there's also one about a non-communicating seller, something like that, that I might have done as well. So this last one is kind of long, so I'm going to put the full story up on the screen. So if you want to read the entire thing, you can go ahead and pause it and do that. But I'm just going to read certain sentences out of this because it is super long and because we're all busy and we have other things we'd rather be doing than listening to me read a really long story. But this one is, how do I cancel an order? I bought from 9 stores, 3 were invoiced, but 1 didn't invoice me for 3 days. I messaged them on Bricklink on the morning of the 4th day and let them know I understood if life was happening, but I would at least like to know when they think they could send the invoice. And I don't mind waiting, but I'd like to know a time frame. Later that day, the message changed from bold blue to normal blue, which the site says indicates the seller has read the message. No response though. At a week of no response or invoice, I messaged them again and again when I could expect an invoice and mentioned that I hoped they were okay. The response I received was, I am so sorry about the wait. I actually don't have the parts on me. I buy from other sellers. When someone buys from me, it's called drop shipping, and my seller is being slow as they apparently facing medical issues. I understand if you'd like to cancel, no worries at all. Thank you for reaching out. Is drop shipping on Bricklink common? The person's shop has a few thousand reviews and less than 100 are negative. Thanks in advance. So when I read this, I read it several times because I thought, wait a minute, so this seller doesn't actually have the parts, they're just selling parts they don't have and expecting somebody else to drop ship these parts, which to me was mind-boggling, and I had to read this 2 or 3 times to make sure I read it right. And of course, all the comments were like, I don't think that's legal on Bricklink. I don't think you're allowed to do that. And somebody did go and look at the terms and conditions, and this is what they found. Exact quantity. The quantity of the item that you are listing for sale must not be greater than the quantity you have physical possession of in the country in which your Bricklink store is registered. Drop shipping is not permitted. The only exception to this is a custom fan magazine that has to be pre-ordered, and the buyer is made aware of this in the item description. Obviously, it's illegal to do this on Bricklink. You could get shut down for this, and the fact that this person sent a message, and I'm guessing through Bricklink, that they were drop shipping is just mind-boggling to me, that you would admit that you're doing something that is totally against the terms and conditions. This is something new to me, and I am really, really curious if any of you, I don't want to say any of you are doing it because I know you're not going to admit that now, but if you are aware of maybe somebody buying from your store and is using your store to do the drop ship, because I have had numerous orders through my store where they've asked me not to put in any invoice or promotional material in the package. And now that's really got me to wondering if maybe they're doing a drop ship and using me without me realizing it. So I would be very curious as to what you guys think on that one. That is all I have for today, and I do hope to start getting back into doing these on a more regular basis. My upload schedule has been all over the place just because we had so much going on in September and the beginning of October, and we have a lot going on right now as well, but I am still hoping to start getting back on track with these. I do want to thank you for taking the time to watch the video, and as always, thank you for leaving comments and giving me those likes. It means a lot to me. So saying that, if you did like this video, go ahead and give it that thumbs up. If you really liked it, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.